am super excited because today, myself and Phillip Clemens, we are going to be taking y'all to the next level, baby. I'm super excited because Phillip is going to be dropping bombs today about not leaving the home with the zero ticket, right? Technicians out there on the other side of the camera, how many times or how tired are you with not capitalizing on every opportunity and leaving the home with zero tickets? Business owners, how tired are you with spending marketing dollars after marketing dollars and not having your team capitalize on the results that you all want, right? I mean, y'all are investing money and money and money, right, to capitalize on every single opportunity possible. And your team's still coming back with zero tickets. So I got the man, the myth, the legend, my trainer, my coach, my selling tech with HVAC Masters of the Hustle, who has had the best year of over $7.5 million as a selling technician. He is a unicorn when it comes to selling HVAC systems all across the nation, y'all. I want y'all to understand this. This guy started in my training platform 4 years ago and didn't do 3 million. He was just shy of 3 million every single year. And 4 years later, he's taken my process and he's freaking exploded it where I'm only a $4.5 million guy, right? This is a $7.5 million guy. So he's going to be dropping bomb. He's going to be talking about not leaving the call with the zero ticket. Mr. Phillip Clemens, what is up, my guy?
What's up, Hustle family? I'm glad to be a part of the show today. So, Jason, the big point of this webinar today is we got a lot of technicians and service technicians out there in our industry that watch you and listen to you week to week religiously. And, they hear all these big numbers that we're throwing up and they look at the commission and the amount of extra money that we're making. So they want to do that too. But sometimes they don't necessarily have the right technique and the right processes or procedures to be able to accomplish that. And what I mean by that is my motto is building a relationship and gathering and keeping the customer for life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
How important is that to your process, Jason? Building a relationship and building that value.
The relationship's the biggest thing. I mean, I continue to tell people, technicians, comfort advisors, why do we go in there so tunnel vision on just the work, right? Why can't we go in there and create the relationship and the overall customer experience for them every single time first?
Right. Or in tunnel vision, knowing, a lot of people have different platforms for their service department, whether it's Service Titan or, whatever they may be using. And, they look at the call and they say, okay, we got a system that's in warranty, 0 to 5 years old or 0 to 10 years old. And the technician's mindset just kind of goes off the wall and says, man, this ain't even a good call. And so they just put the opportunity behind them because they go in there with a negative mindset already. I mean, would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the way I approach it, me being that I was a selling technician and hit $7.5 million and had multiple months, over $1 million in sales in a month, one of them being in February, which is our slowest time of the year, was building that relationship and making sure that I had a customer for life. Sometimes that motivation, like, oh man, that customer's going to call me back and I had to drive an hour and a half away because, I did such a good job and I fixed the job today, even though I didn't sell it. Even I collected the company revenue. Yeah, she's going to call and request me back. But when she does request me back, if I didn't get the sale closed then, guess what? What do you think I'm going to do the next time?
Same thing.
Or like you say, passing that baton on, regardless of whether it was me or whether it was somebody behind me from the same team that I came from, because our company is a team. I set them up for success.
Talk about real quick the importance of passing the baton, right? Because I think for everyone that's joining this training, that's really important, right? Because in companies, I go out on site all the time. I get to explore hundreds and thousands of different companies nationwide. And what I find out is there's departments, but then they also divide, right? And why would we divide each department? Because what that does inside the company, it creates division all of a sudden, right? And then there's not a nice smooth transition of passing the baton. So talk about the importance of passing the baton and really setting it up and yourself up for success.
Well, passing that baton, and the reason why it's so important, and you can even consider passing the baton to yourself, depending on if you're taking off that service hat, putting on the selling hat. Doesn't matter what hat you're wearing. You have to keep in mind the education that you're providing to that customer. The reason they called you was because they don't know. So they're expecting you to come over there and fix it and give them the honest truth. So what I do as a service tech or a selling technician is I go through that system with a fine tooth comb. I find out what's going on with it without scaring Miss Jones. And I go in and I present it with a couple options. And those options, before I ever put my selling cap on, is to be able to collect revenue for my company because they have to pay me to go out there and do that. So what I do on a service call is I learn to be able to present options and give those options the right way, which to me is 3 options every time. Just like you would as a comfort advisor, you want at least 3 or 4 options on that sale, right? The same thing on a service ticket. I want 2 fix it today and 1 no callback option. That fix it today is to let Miss Jones know that, hey, you don't have to, give me both arms or a leg and an arm. You can fix it for this price right here. But let me go ahead and educate you on the rest of these options to make sure that you understand why I gave you more than 1 option. Does that make sense? Is that passing the baton on to you, Jason?
Absolutely.
And what that's doing for me is it's just getting her to ask me for the sale. And I didn't even have to ask for the sale, but because by the time I get through presenting that no callback option, and she's like, well, Phillip, I don't really want to have you back out here. I don't mind having you back out here. You've been a great guy. You gave me plenty of options. But at the end of the day, I want this thing fixed permanently. So what does a new system cost?
Boom. And I want to highlight this real quick. Phillip mentioned something that's very important for everyone that's watching this training video right now is a lot of times technicians, they explain everything, right? And then they tell Miss Jones or Betty that, hey, you need a new system. All of a sudden, what happens when you tell that person that they need a new system? Their walls go up. They get defensive. You're trying to sell me something, right? So what Phillip's talking about is asking open-ended questions, getting really good at presenting options where now the homeowner is the one telling you, well, you know what, Phillip? How much is a new system? Continue.
Well, I'm kind of glad you asked. And you can go about this a couple different ways depending on the company. Well, Miss Jones, I'm just a service tech. I'm here to fix the problem. But if you want a price on a new system, I'll tell you what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and put that capacitor on there for you to kind of get you up and going, lock down that revenue sale. Is that okay with you? And then while I'm doing that and getting you comfortable, I'll go ahead and get my comfort advisor or I'll get my manager on the phone with the call by call, however you want to do it. We can transform any way we want to do it. And I can get somebody to give you that price. And if you're interested, hey, maybe we can kind of prorate this right here, not worry about the repair price, move you right into a system.
Absolutely. And when you usually go through options like that, or you inform and educate the homeowner, what are usually the responses? How do you overcome objections before the objections come out?
Well, it's easy. The education that I'm giving is kind of upfront. There's no beating around the bush. So, Miss Jones, if I do replace this capacitor, let's just say a fan capacitor on this indoor blower motor, and I get it back up and running, but there's a reason this thing's shut down. So, what I call a temporary fix is these fix it todays. It's temporary. And like you said, you really didn't want me back out here, even though I was a nice guy and gave you options. So what I did do is go ahead and give you that no callback option. And that's how you can overcome stuff like that, is make sure that you have more than one way out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And for those of you that are joining this training right now, if you're getting a lot of value out of this webinar or this training with Phillip and myself, go ahead and share this and let people know, because we're going to be dropping bombs. Our goal and our mission is to make sure that y'all go out and create opportunity every time your foot's in the door, right? Every time you see the whites of a homeowner's eyes, and if they were to cancel that call at the door, whose fault is it? It's your fault. It's not the company's fault, right? It's your job to make sure to save the job. So that's what we're talking about. And Phillip, talking about not getting 0 tickets, the full customer experience, people behind the camera right now joining the webinar, they're probably asking, what does Phillip's process look like as a selling technician? So let's start from square one. you get dispatched a call. How do you set yourself up for success mentally, right? That's what you and I were talking about is before we went on this call is a lot of times technicians go out there and they'll start deciphering through the notes, the CRM program, Service Titan, House Call Pros, whatever it is. And all of a sudden they might see a couple years of information of denials and this and that and start getting discouraged, right? But as a professional, we have to switch our mindset and we have to go in there with the positive outcome that we're going to envision of happily involving that homeowner, right? Talk about that.
So I'm going to use you as a customer. You know, we both love role playing, right? This is one of our favorite things to do. And so I'm going to put it like this. So we're going to go through a scenario, Jason, and we're going to use you as the customer. And I want you to kind of give me, you know, real life advice, like far as what you're thinking on your head if I was to come to you and approach this. You told me a story one time that, you know, you wanted to find out what this other company wanted to do was doing so bad to be able to close a sale. You called them to your rental property to find out their process, right?
Yep.
Okay, so this is basically what we're doing here. And this is for all you service techs or selling techs. If you want to get on that same level with a comfort advisor, and if not, be that competitiveness atmosphere, this is what you're going to want to do. And you're going to want to do this every time, whether you manipulate it a few different ways, that's fine. But if you could take one thing out of this and apply it to what you're doing today, you're going to see a better result. I promise you that. So Ms. Jones, we're going to use just a service call, a standard service call, and it's going to, you know, the system's not running, it's not cooling, right? So Ms. Jones, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Phillip. How about yourself? I'm so happy that you're here.
Yeah. Is it okay where I'm parked at?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't plan on having anyone out. Actually, you know what? My kids are actually going to be here in about 2 hours.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to go ahead and move for you. Just so I'll make sure I'm not in the way. I won't park in front of the mailbox. That way, you know, you don't have to make me move again. And I'm going to go ahead and bring that trash can up for you. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know we're role playing this, but I also want to stop right there. Okay.
I want you to stop me in between a lot to make sure, because I'm a fast talker and, you know, just because I'm very passionate and it comes out really fast.
Absolutely. And so let's dissect this. Okay. The universal door knock and why it's so important, because when I post videos of this, people go, why do you say, oh, is it all right where I parked my car? Man, that shit, we did that 20 years ago. You don't need to do that. Who gives a shit, right? I get it, you guys. I get it. We don't give a shit. I get it. You don't give a shit. But what I do care is to get that homeowner used to telling me yes at the beginning of the appointment, right? How many yeses can I get out of them? I don't care where I parked my car. But what I'm telling you is by asking that question, you're going to show them respect. You're going to drop down their walls, right? You're going to gather maybe information that if someone's coming and they do park there, for instance, and you're there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, you know, there might be a time constraint or someone else is coming to join the appointment, right? So there's so much more information to gather at that universal door knock, not just, is it all right where I parked my car? So I wanted to highlight that because a lot of people don't understand the psychology of it to get that homeowner at the initial meet and greet to start telling you yes.
Well, another bomb is, Jason, is not everybody is going to look at it the same way that I look at it and the same way that you look at it. And the reason for why they do it, we're not telling you to do it to just, you know, so you can get them to say yes. But what we are doing is getting you to slow down, to be able to get involved. And that's where your relationship starts, is at the front door. You know, to be able to get that customer, not to say, hey, well, there's a thermostat right there. I'm going to be in the back room if you need me. No, ma'am, or no, sir. Miss Jones, hey, is it okay where I'm parked at? Now it's stopped because I don't know that person and they don't know me. The first thing I need to do is get them to slow down and get myself to slow down and get in the right mode, right?
Yep, 100%.
That's what the important of the door knock is for me, is to slow myself down, because I know I have 3 or 4 other calls, maybe 5, 6 other calls, but every call is an opportunity. That's what the door knock means for me, Jason.
I love it. I love it. Every call is an opportunity, y'all. I want you to understand that. Every call is an opportunity. My foot gets in the door. My hand goes on the door. I mean, I got to tell you all, my father-in-law working with that man, he taught me, you see the white of the eyes and you don't save that call, that's your fault. That's going against you, boy. Your job is, if we set the appointment and they say yes to us on the phone and they cancel at the door, or maybe they don't answer when we call to dispatch you out there and you show up and they say, oh, I canceled the call. Well, you know what? You better save that damn call because it's going to reflect your numbers. And I hear people all the time, comfort advisors and technicians, bitching about their numbers and saying, oh, they track my training calls too. Yeah, because that's opportunity. I'd track your training calls too. Oh, my percentage isn't 25%. If you take out the training calls, it's actually 55. No, it's 25%. You need to work on your skills, bro, or misses.
That's right. I had such a high closing rate, Jason, that they would try, the office personnel would try me, and they would send me calls and they would make a note on there that says customer says they do not want a new system. So obviously the reputation was getting out there of our service industry trying to promote, and selling new systems, right? They wanted a real technician. Well, guess what? They got a real technician that was very educational and go out there and being able to close those sales.
And no, go ahead.
So, and the cool part about it is I didn't really pay attention to the 0 to 5 or the 5 to 10, whatever it was. They knew that I knew that every call I made as an opportunity, because guess what? If it was 0 to 5 and it wasn't my install, that's even more ammunition for me to go out there and wonder why. Well, I see, let's just say John's company put this system in, and I was just curious, how come they're not back out here? You can't be scared to ask those questions, because guess what? That puts the spot back on them, right?
Yeah. And I always think it's crazy. Why not find out if you have other companies coming to the call and they're telling you I'm getting multiple estimates? Why not ask, hey, how many appointments do you plan on getting? Am I the first one? Am I the second one? Am I the last one? What's going to draw your decision to a conclusion? Because if you're the second or third guy out or the first guy out, right? First off, I love being the first guy because I'll sit there happily involve that homeowner. Two guys might be coming after me. And you know what I'm doing? I'm Billy Badass is what they say, I guess, on social media. And being a Billy Badass, what I like to do is I'll call the mother effer, right? A company that's going to come out to try to steal the job from me. And I'll cancel the appointment right then and there on the phone. I'll put them on speaker. Obviously, I've created that relationship with the homeowner, right? And I say, hey, because you're happily moving forward with us today, what I would like to do is you said that you're going to have, ABC heat and air out and comfort now out, and they should be here within the next couple hours. So what I would like to do is go ahead and call and cancel those appointments for you.
Yeah. And we could put it as another way, because we've all been to this same situation. We're like, well, hey, I love everything you said, but I still want to go ahead and get those other appointments. Some of them may not build as much relationship as you do, but you're going to have those customers that I don't care what you tell them. You give them $100 to use you. They still want to get those other options, right? Because they just don't know. And that's perfectly fine with me. If I am the first guy or if I'm the second guy, whatever it may be. Miss Jones, at the end of this presentation, and if you decided not to pick a piece of equipment, that's perfectly fine. You go ahead and get your other options. One thing I can do is I can guarantee you up to $500 off, but I'm really not trying to bargain with my install department, because what we do is way different than other people. But what I can tell you is when you're done with these other quotes, if you don't mind, give me a call and I would be happy to go over the phone or come back out and sit down to kind of go over those options, option for option, to see why my price was any different than theirs and educate you on what the difference is. How does that sound?
Yeah, no. And that's what you got to do is you got to stay in, ask those open-ended questions, ask the hard questions, right?
Exactly.
Find out who you're going to get. And then one thing that we were talking about is a lot of people ask me if y'all get the objection, I'm getting 3 bids. What is your toolkit to overcome those objections, right? One of the toolkits that I like to build, and if you look inside my backpack, I got 50, 60 estimates from my market out here in Sacramento. How do you get them? Asking questions. Hey, I'm the second guy out here. I'm the third guy out here. You're happily involving them. You know what? How do you get that estimate? One of our in-house guarantees is our apples to apples guarantee. So Bob and Betty, I know that one thing you were saying is that we were a couple $1,000s higher, which, first off, I want to say thank you for choosing us and understanding what's all involved with the process of an install and, me doing my due diligence and being upfront with you with everything that I've seen. So we don't do any work change orders, right? And then moving forward from there, again, creating fear and doubt in a respectful way. You don't have to talk shit about your homeowners, but when you do create that relationship with them, right, and you do business with them, they'll start giving you the estimates. And then you start building these toolkits. So when they are getting multiple estimates, hey, Bob and Betty, do you consider your time pretty important? Oh, absolutely. I've been here for about 2 hours now, and I know that my clients consider their time important. So what I've done is I've done the extra step and I've done my research for you. You say that
Yeah.
you need a 3% of the market, right?
Exactly. And what makes it easier for a technician or a sales technician is you see how hard it is for a comfort advisor to how hard he has to work to be able to get that sale. He has to overcome these objections because now that he's there, the trust was in the technician or the selling tech, as you want to call it. If you built that value and built that relationship first, you really don't have to worry about those other estimates. Now, you are going to get that from time to time, and that's perfectly fine. A wise man once told me, and I believe it was Weldon Long, he said 48% of those calls I didn't want anyways. It's the 52%, the ones that's going to spend the most money.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just hanging out with Wally in Disneyland, had him on the podcast. Great guy to be around. Super motivational. And
Awesome.
for everyone that's watching on the other side of the camera, I see there's almost 20 of us that are joining right now. I got to tell you all, if y'all are getting some value, some information, can you please do me and Phillip a favor? We're coming to you all doing this training for the next 30, 45 minutes for you all. And what we are asking is just if you could hit the share button on your social media, just so this could make an impact for another company, a technician, a selling tech, or a comfort advisor. Our goal and our mission to come here live to you all today is to show you what's possible. We want to be real with you all, and we want to overcome what the technician fluff is of the bullshit excuses that people are giving you right now, because let's be real. It is a challenging season this year in 2024, but it's really a challenging season if you believe it is. Right?
Yes.
Phillip, you and I were talking about this before we jumped on about, us going on sites right now, being on social media, talking to business owners, technicians, comfort advisors. And it seems like there's a shift in people's mindset. And it's when you start believing that shift is when you start having those results, right? So talk about keeping the positivity mindset.
Keeping the and a lot of this, and I'm not blaming it just on the technicians or the selling techs or whatever it is, but if we have a comfort advisor in our industry we have them in our company, what happens is you get these comfort advisors and gets the morale down far as for your service techs or your sales techs, like they're not as good as them because they're out there making this commission, making big bucks and stuff like that. So the company owner gets a hold of this and he says, you know what, we'll make it a fair game. If you sell it, we're going to give you commission. So what happens is the morale and the technician, when he gets his first no, goes to shit. I'm sorry to say it like that, but it is. So now the next job, he's so worried that he's not going to get this sale after the owner done gave him an opportunity to make more money, but he feels like he's not good enough to be able to do it. So now his morale goes to shit. So, how do we keep that morale up in the service industry, not the comfort advisor, but the service/sales service? It's easy. We make those guys give 3 options no matter what, because if a service tech gets a service call, believe it or not, the check is already wrote, but they just don't know how much it's wrote for until you tell them. That's why they called you. There's some type of trust there. You just have to keep it going. So now once I get that yes on that revenue, we lock down the revenue. Now it's a win-win because guess what? Now in Service Titan world, you just closed one of your quotes. So now your closing rate is not only going up, you're actually closing calls. You can look at as closing a sale. Whatever the sell is, it doesn't matter. Getting that yes will keep the morale up. So that's why it's important for a sales tech or a technician to give those options every time. And, I'm really big on airflow. But what I've learned, this last year going out in the field and going out to, different places in the country is nobody else is really doing airflow. It really is an untapped thing that made me, I'll be honest with you, just a straight beast. And along with Jason Walker's
7.5 million selling technician, y'all. 7.5 million right here in front of you all, dropping fire, dropping bombs.
Yeah, but it's baby steps. I just didn't do that overnight. I implied people's strategies and processes like Jason Walker changed my life. I thought what I was doing was average. I truly did until I seen this guy's big ass ring. And I've never been a flashy guy. I still ain't today. You see me, I'm going to be in shorts and a t-shirt 90% of the time, either in my hustle swag or my company swag, one of the two. That's just the way I am. And because I really don't care about the extra stuff. What matters to me is being successful and being good at what I do. And I love what I do. And it's about educating and giving that customer an experience that no other technician has. And they don't want nobody back but me. And that's perfectly fine. I'll be the one to go back. I might not be on call, but guess what? You want me? If you call me directly, because sometimes I give my personal number or I call for my personal number, guess who's going to go out there? It's going to be me, because I'm going to close it. Because I know that I gave them enough education and enough experience the first time that when I go back this time, they're already asking me again. I know you told me, Phillip, that, hey, but we just want to get that temporary repair. We was hoping to get it, the rest of the summer, but it didn't make it. And I'm tired of spending money into it. What do I need to do? Well, that's a great question. I mean, what could you afford? Could you afford $100 a month or $200 a month? It really just depends on how far you want to go, Miss Jones. Do you want a whole home fix? Or once again, do you want kind of a semi-temporary fix? And what I mean by that is if I replace that system, we still have another part of it. And that's going to be your airflow, your ductwork. How's that airflow? Once again, that comes from the comfort survey. Keep that in mind. All these things that Jason Walker, when he comes to you guys' company or he gives you on these free webinars, you have to take this stuff and put it in your toolbox, because you never know when you're going to use it. And if you really sit down and think about it, those steps might be, like we talked about a minute ago, is he does this for a simple reason. He's getting open-ended questions. He's getting his ammunition together. That way, when he does sit down, he is ready to fire. And that's the same thing I'm doing. We've got the same process. I might have just tweaked it a little bit. And that's the same thing that your technicians or you technicians can do. Tweak it to fit your own process, but get a process in play, because the more you practice that process, the better you're going to be.
100%. I mean, Phillip's just dropping fire right there. Phillip, now another big question that I see in the field, right, doing ride-alongs, is a lot of times technicians, comfort advisors even, if they do ask for the order, which sometimes they don't even ask for the order, but if they do, they get it one no. And then all of a sudden they pack up, they email, and they really believe in the one no, right?
I'm glad you're touching on this. Yes.
Talk about real quick, how many times do you get a no before packing up maybe?
I don't never count the no's, because I let the no's go through one ear and out the other. I don't ever digest the no personally. Like, I'm there until they're trying to walk me out the front door, bud. Okay. Because they called me there for a reason. And you got to keep in mind, this don't happen within 30 minutes, guys. If you're trying to close something within 30 minutes, you better expect a lot of no's, because they are shut down. Remember, we're service techs. We're not comfort advisors. A comfort advisor, you can look at it, hey, it's 50-50 to an extent. And I'm not even going to put those odds on it, because you never know. If they're going to get 4 quotes, well, guess what? It's not 50-50, right? It's a, 1/4%, or whatever you want to call it. So, the biggest thing is it takes time to do it. And Jason, what you was talking about, as far as, they get that first no and they shut down, is a lot of you owners and a lot of your service techs, they can come to me as an business owner and say, Phillip, I showed tons of value and I believe you because I have faith in you. But the minute I get in that van and I go to that front door, what happens? You go straight to the thermostat, beeline. Like, dude, did you just forget everything we talked about that you said that you loved?
Oh, dropping bombs.
Remember, I can lead you to the water, but I can't make you drink it. As my grandpa always told me, you're thirsty. I brought you water. It's up to you to drink it.
Yeah. I'm going to piggyback off that right now, because this is very important, and keep sharing this show. I see the numbers just keep going of people jumping in this train. We're dropping bombs right now, and this is really going to help you, because now let's talk about the relationship, right? As we get in that front door, Phillip just said a lot of technicians go to that thermostat. They have the homeowner turn the thermostat on to verify that the system turns on, that it works. And then all of a sudden they start asking questions standing up. And then all of a sudden, what do? They present options standing up. This is why I think it's so important. Or after they're done asking the questions, they get the information standing up, and then all of a sudden they start walking around the homeowner's house and everything, and they're in all their personal space. But the relationship hasn't been created yet.
You nailed it. That's exactly. Remember, we talked about this at the beginning, Jason, about what I do I do the front door greeting to slow me down. I mean, you could see how passionate and how fast I start talking. Slowing down is so important. And I do different things to slow myself down, because I know I'm a fast talker, and I know a lot of people can't understand me when I'm talking fast. And that's easy. That's getting that process in place. I have a process physically just to slow me down.
I mean, that right there, process. I'm hoping everyone understands that's watching this, that you got to be process driven. You have to be disciplined. You have to do this stuff every time. And talking about the no's real quick, right? One thing that I do is if I get a no, right, then I go back to my form. So for those of you that are listening to this, I get a note and then I talk about something that we had interest in. So form stands for family, occupation, recreational, and materials. Start with F. If you guys don't know anything about their family, their kids, themselves, who all lives in the house, well, you know what? You haven't protected your price. You haven't created enough
Right.
relationship to ask for business yet.
I love it.
If you don't know what they do for work, which is absolutely insane that people will sit there, have a conversation, ask for 20, 30, 40, $50,000 and doesn't know what they do for work. And sometimes these guys and girls are paying cash. And we walk out to our car scratching our heads and saying, what the fuck do they do? Right? Ask those questions, y'all. It's a good networking experience too. Your network is your net worth. I want you to understand that. And we're in and out of these houses all the time. So if you don't know anything about family, occupation, recreational things, okay, walking up to the house, they got a camper RV, they got certain cars, whatever it is, talk about that stuff. Talk about their kids. People love to talk about their kids, their animals, sports, hobbies, things like that. This is the relationship that y'all need to create before giving price.
Yeah,
Because once you all give price and you don't protect it, you're done.
exactly. And some of your technicians, they're scared of the price. I'm going to be honest with you, man. The price scares them to death about how much something costs. They're used to selling capacitors. Now they're trying to sell a $10,000-$15,000 system, and
And
they are just mind blown
you know why price scares them? It's
because they're not
because they're thinking with their own bank account and the way that they purchase things. And that's
100%.
another good reason of why I failed my first year. You know, I haven't always been a rock star comfort advisor, y'all, or a rock star HVAC guy. It took me falling and falling hard to learn from my mistakes to get to where I am today. I want everyone to understand no one's perfect. I'm not perfect. I fucked up a lot. But when you do mess up, it's what do you learn from those mistakes and how do you progress and move forward? And my first year selling, I sold 2.2 million 10 years ago, but I only made 120,000 off of it starting at 10% commission. Why? Because I sold with the way that I purchased. I offered everyone 5 years 0%. I took a massive hit on my commission to solidify their yes, right? When I didn't understand with creating value or when someone gives you ask for a discount, right? You don't just give them a discount. You got to create value behind a discount. Or if there's not value behind it, what do they continue just to do? Ask for more discounts, ask for more discounts. And then all of a sudden, you're not a fucking salesperson. You're an order taker. And that's what I want you all to understand is you're not salespeople. You're not even order takers. You're true professionals that are going in there and you're teaching the homeowner an experience because they only do this once or twice in their life and that's it. And once y'all have a good understanding that homeowners do this once or twice in their life and we do it every day, maybe 3, 4 times, 2 times a day, we're used to this stuff. So we need to put ourselves in the homeowner situation. And Phillip, piggybacking off of you asking questions, getting to a table, creating that relationship. Now, talk about the importance of when you are doing your evaluation, your tune up, right? Are you allowing the homeowner to kind of do their own thing for the whole tune up process? Are you taking pictures? Are you showing the homeowner what is that process look like for the 700 or 7 million dollar unicorn out there, Phillip Clemens?
But it really is. Once again, I have to say process and getting that process. I have to vary my process very, very little, but I still do the same process. Okay. I always take pictures regardless of where the customer is. And, if they're standing beside me, hey, Mr. Jones, do you mind if I go ahead and take some pictures to kind of document what we're doing? So we have history in our service Titan. And not only that, Mr. Jones, I understand you said you was going to be in a meeting in Zoom, but do you mind if I send you a couple of text messages or something like that if I find something that's kind of alarming? And a lot of times, guess what? By the time if they're not standing beside me and I send them that first picture, because that first picture is going to be something alarming because that's what I told them it would be, they're going to come find me and they're going to come find out what that is. And they're going to want options. Once again, they're asking me for the options. Well, what do I do?
I love that you said that, right? You said I ask a question. If there's anything alarming or outside manufacturer spec, do you want me to bring that to your attention? Right. I'm not assuming because they might not give a shit. Right. But the second that they tell you that they do want the information, what are they doing?
They're telling you yes.
They're telling you yes, right?
Right.
They want more information. I'm not just going to throw up all this shit that they might not even care about. So I'm gathering more information. And then also, this allows you to gather more information so it could help you close that opportunity, right? Hey, Bob and Betty, earlier when at the beginning of this appointment, one thing that I asked you was if there's anything outside manufacturer specs, you want me to bring that to your attention. Now, I understand that you're on a Zoom call, but one thing I do also know is that you work really hard for your money, and I'm not here to guess with your hard-earned money today. So do you mind just giving me 5 minutes so I could show you more in detail and depth about what I'm talking about when it comes to manufacturer specs on this product or capacitor or motor or whatever it is?
And all my followers, they know, Jason, how big I am on these 7 pictures. And the reason for these 7 pictures is not only going to help you slow yourself down once again, it's going to help the next technician understand what he's getting himself into, because dispatchers get the wrong information sometimes, or regardless of what it is. These 7 pictures, and I'll go over those 7 pictures with you real quick. And it's just because it's the first things we're going to go to. It's time management at the same time. All right. But at the same time, I done told you guys, it's to help me slow down. And if I'm sitting out in the van and I'm wondering what it is, guess what? It's going to be in those 7 pictures, because these 7 pictures are very important. Picture number 1 is
Before he goes over these pictures real quick, we got over 20 people on this live. I need you to see you guys start smashing these hearts and likes because Phillip's dropping some valuable information right now about the 7 pictures that you guys need to make sure that you're doing and documenting so your homeowner's more buying into the process. So Phillip, I'm going to let you know, I'm going to see some hearts. Okay, now they're going, they're blowing up now. Go ahead, Phillip. I need to see more. Share.
Well, these 7 pictures, like I said, there's multiple different reasons I do this, but the most important is, to protect you at the end of the service call, knowing that customer didn't follow you around. They don't know what you've done yet. It's running. But how do they know that you actually looked at the system? It's because I got pictures, and I just kind of want to go over these pictures with you, Miss Jones, to show you what you have and the reason I gave you that no callback option, right? Because I told you I'm very educational. First picture is normally the first thing that we go to in a service call, and it's going to be the thermostat. I want to take a picture of that. And I'm going to explain why I want each one of these pictures very, very briefly. The picture of the thermostat tells me a lot as a technician, because I can tell if they're technical, if it's just a simple, if I can save them money, with a new digital thermostat from an old Mercury thermostat. Second picture is going to be the return. And the reason I want to picture the return, and I know in different geographical locations, your returns are different. I found that out the hard way. Not everybody has filter grills, and then that's perfectly fine. But regardless of what it is, the return still has to be a certain size or a spec size according to what type of unit that you have in there. And everybody can agree to that. It goes back to airflow. So not only am I getting a picture of the return size, then I want to stand back and I want to take a picture of the unit location. If it's in a closet, obviously stand back, take a picture of the unit in the closet. That tells me another thing. It tells me if there's a disconnect in there, tells me if there's a float switch in there. I can kind of slow myself back down when I'm sitting in the truck building those options, the 3 options, the 2 no callback, and then I'm at my 2 fixed today, my no callback options. I can utilize that. After the inside picture, I want a picture of the model plate. It's going to tell me that tonnage of that unit, and it's going to give me the serial number. Percent of the time is going to tell me when it was manufactured. And then I want a picture of the outdoor unit as you're walking up to it, so I can see what type of pad it's on, see what kind of overall shape it's in, and if there's a disconnect on the wall, if the whip's kind of hanging out of it. There's multiple different reasons why. And then the last but not least is a picture of that model number again, because I can tell if that unit was installed at the same time. I can tell if the tonnage is proper, if it wasn't oversized, and I could tell when it was manufactured. So that's my 7 pictures, and I know I kind of went over them fast, and I will help you guys out, any way I can by going back over those or putting them in the notes. But those 7 pictures are very important, not just for you, for your fellow technicians, your team, and for your company to be able to have those, in the history.
Yeah, and I'm blowing up some comments on the screen right here. We got William Phillips. Phillip, you did an on-site out there in Texas with Mr. Williams.
William
He's
is a
joining
great
us.
beast.
We got Mary joining us. We got Sam Wickfield. He's also a trainer. He's joining us. We got Effective Jiu-Jitsu. He's joining us. We got Robert joining us. And He is, let's see, commenting return location. He's taking those picture, or he commented the picture. So let's make sure that we have these right. Okay. We got the return picture. We got unit location picture. Okay. Thermostat first. Then after thermostat, return.
Indoor unit location.
Unit location.
Model plate.
Model plate.
Outdoor unit location.
Outdoor unit location.
And model plate again.
And model plate again, right?
Last but not least is going to be a picture of the ductwork. And the reason I put that last is because these units might be in a closet and you might have to get your ladder out to get up there. And that's the reason I put that last. But ductwork is very, very important because guess what? We might not be selling that ductwork at the time, but let's go to Austin's comment where it says 90% of homes I go to are short on return CFM. Well, how many options are you given to fix that? And let me ask another question is how old is that unit? That might be the reason you're back out there is because it is short on return. And we know the unit is choked down and it can't breathe. And if you know the side effects of what happens on an undersized return is going to be a cold evaporator coil. What happens when it gets cold? Well, it's going to get sweaty. Well, what happens then when it gets sweaty? We get mildew and mold, right? We get growth. So all this stuff, if you educate yourself, is going to teach you how to build options.
Man, I'm super excited. We're going to open this up for about the next 5 minutes for some Q&As. I know we got over 20 people joining this live right now, and we want to be able to answer questions to help you all succeed to get to the next level. Again, this is completely free for myself and Phillip to answer any questions. We got Jim that just commented. Let's go ahead and pull this one up. We also add pics of the blower coil to show clients the filthy air environment. So Jim, just real quick, one thing that I'm going to piggyback off of that is pictures are good. Phillip's right about that. But anytime there's an excessive blower or coil, or maybe not coil, you ain't going to take that out, but blower, I'm going to take out and disassemble the whole squirrel cage in front of that homeowner because, and again, typically I do this 100% every time I go up in an attic or look at a furnace. The reason why we do it is, again, I don't know, my dirty might be different than her dirty or his dirty, right? I don't want to make assumptions or assume, but pictures are a good thing. But even more powerful is taking that whole thing apart, disassembling it, taking it outside, hooking up your hose bib, hooking up your chemical pump, and then bringing the homeowner physically out there. And this is some bombs right here, because when you do this, you'll get skin in the game. Phillip's talking about no zero ticket. Well, if you want a $500 ticket, this is how you get it to get skin in the game to start the talk of indoor air quality. So, hey, Bob and Betty. So what I did is I took your squirrel cage out doing the evaluation of the system. And this is everything disassembled. We got your motor right here. We got your squirrel cage. We have your blower. And what do you notice right here on the fins? And they're going to say dust, dirt, whatever it is, right? And my response is just going to go, what else? What else? And they're going to tell me dust, dirt until they can't mold, whatever it is. And then I'm going to turn it and flip it on them and say, what can that do, do you think, to your system, seeing that it's already growing and you have dirt based off what you told me? What else? What else? What else? That homeowner is building their case for me. So not only that, it's also getting inside the house. So what I do is I do a duct swab test on the return and the supply side, because the bigger the show, the bigger the what? The bigger the dough, baby. So I'm going to show the homeowner also a duct swab on the supply and the return to show them that it's not just getting through the system, but it's also getting where. And they're going to tell me, open-ended question. And then again, putting it on them. What else can that do to you? What can that do to your family? What else? What else? What else? We have two options right now, Bob and Betty. Option number one is go ahead and assemble this back in and put it in dirty. Or as you can see, I got my chemical, I got my cleaner. I could do a system rejuvenation cleaning, and we could start right there. And then I could put everything in and we could go ahead and start testing from there. And they usually go, yeah, let's go ahead and get the cleaning done. How much does that cost? Well, I got skin in the game. Hang on. A lot of technicians will go, hang on, I got to check my book real quick. Know these numbers. A quick cleaning is going to cost you $500. Do you want me to go ahead and put it in dirty, or go ahead and fulfill the system rejuvenation clean? No, let's go ahead and do that for $500. Boom. I know I got $500 for IAQ for system rejuvenation. I'm not leaving with the zero ticket. But on top of that, I'm going to start building more of my case, because not only am I cleaning it, it's going to come back, right? So how do you start having those conversations about air scrubbers or eye waves or halos, whatever it is your company's selling, right? And then you get good at selling system rejuvenation cleanings. On top of that, packaging it with like an air scrubber to make sure that it doesn't come back. But then you talk about your ducts being cleaned, the coil cleaning, right? And all of a sudden you're leaving from what you thought was a zero ticket, which is now an average ticket of $5,000 in indoor air quality solutions, also on a brand new system. Because maybe indoor air quality isn't important to them, right, Phillip? But the
That's
pain point of $20,000 of that system 3, 4, 5 years ago and what it looks like today will be a pain point.
That's right. And also, like this touch points on the other pitchers, those 7 pitchers to get my technicians. I was a call by call manager at one point in time too. And just to get my technicians acclimated with just taking pictures, because some technicians, they're not used to that. And absolutely, the more pitchers, the better. But at the same time, we don't want to overwhelm them. But what we want to do is give them experience, knowing that, hey, he did go through my system because he's got pictures to prove it. If I have a stopped up evaporator coil, yeah, take a picture and let's show it. That's options. That's being able to build options. And, if you was a service manager or whatever, and you did have Service Titan or another different platform that you can look at as your technicians are on site, being able to help them manage their job to be able to get them better revenue. That way they can get more yeses. And then at the end of the day, they might not need you because guess what? You gave them a good process to do. Somebody has to be able to hold them accountable because at the end of the day, my van is my own business. And that's just the way I looked at it.
So I just want everyone to have the opportunity to gather information from myself and Phillip today. And, we talk about on-sites with HVAC Masters of the Hustle and us being really booked out when it comes to on-sites, which we are, because why? Because results show while we're on site. We talk the talk, we walk the walk. If you guys want information on our on-sites, you want us to come out, Phillip has a couple opportunities this upcoming summer where he could get in the trenches with you and your team. My summer is all booked out, but you know what? Why wouldn't y'all want the $7 million unicorn to be in your shop to show your team what the 4-minute mile looks like? And Phillip, talk real quick about what the process of what you do when you're on site. How do you change lives?
I teach technicians and sales techs a simple process, something, and I go out and I show it to them in real life, not only in the classroom, but I go out and I do ride-alongs and I show them how I could take a simple service call and turn it into $10, $15, $20,000 sale just by giving the education and building a relationship with the customer first. Will Phillips is one of my favorites. He knows first and foremost, form is one of the biggest things to be able to build a relationship. It gives you the right questions and the right stuff to look for. Family, a guy wanted to know what that was again. F for the family. It lets you know if they enter the front door and a nursing or like scrubs. So are you a nurse? Well, hey, thank you for your service. I appreciate everything you do. I know you guys work hard. Or a cop, or whatever it may be. It starts to opening up questions. And then you're getting them to let their guard down, putting the blinders back down and building that relationship. Occupation, far as family, how many people, live in a house, whether it's a single, newlywed people, whatever it may be. And then the occupation. Once again, we just went over with the scrubs. Recreation. Do they have boats and stuff in their yard? Do they have folders, or what are they out there, picking the garden? That's what we mean by recreation. Something that you can relate and you can start a conversation by building that relationship. And materialistic things. When you walk in the house, you see a bookshelf full of books. Whatever it may be, a bunch of knickknacks, just whatever it may be, something to open up conversation to get your mind in the right space to slow down.
So one thing that I want to offer right now for those that are watching live as well as on replay, me and Phillip, we're going to offer this, and Phillip might shoot me for this or give me a little face, but I'm going to offer anyone watching this right now a one-on-one complimentary Zoom training with myself or Phillip. So what I want you to do is comment if this is something that you are interested in. Comment free Zoom in the comments below, free Zoom. And what we will do is we will reach out to you, Billie Jean, and she will schedule you one free complimentary Zoom for 1 hour with myself, with you and your team, or one-on-one, however you want to do it. But I am super excited to be a part of your growth. Phillip, I'm excited that you've been on our team for almost 2 years now. You're an absolute rock star. What you're doing when you're on site showing people what the 4-minute mile looks like. I mean, to have a $7.5 million selling tech on site at your facility is absolutely mind blown. So again, if this is something that you guys want opportunities for, comment free Zoom for an hour free Zoom with myself and Phillip. And if you're like, you know what, y'all are some Billy Badasses, I guess that's what my social media name is Billy Badass. Okay. But if y'all are Billy Badasses and you want to come on site, you want to test us, I'm telling you, the results are in. We've been doing this stuff for 5 years. We ain't going anywhere. We are the strongest training team around when it comes to on-site trainings for HVAC Masters of the Hustle. Until next time, y'all, stay tuned. Late.